Hello and welcome back. I'm going to add a click event to this button so that when a user clicks on it, he or she should be able to see the various albums belonging to a particular artist. Now, before adding this click event, I'm going to generate the page, which is similar to an Angular component. So in the console, I'll generate the page by typing Ionic-G page, and I'll call the page artist albums. Enter. Ionic CLI wants to update. I'll type N for now and hit enter. So the page has been generated. So if you expand this pages folder here, you'll see another folder called artist albums, and inside there you see this page, which is similar to an Angular component. So all we need to do is to add this to the app module.ts file. So here I'll import artist albums page. From, we need to go one level up into the pages folder and look for artist albums. And we need to add that here in the declarations. And also here in the entry components. So in home.html, I'll add a click event to this button. And I'll call this search albums. I'll pass the ID of the artist to this method, as well as the name of the artist. So when the user clicks on this button, this method will be executed. Let's go ahead and implement this method. I'll just copy this and implement it in the home.ts file. So I'll just paste that here. I'll change this to ID of type string and name of type string. So in this method, we're going to navigate to the artist albums page and pass into it this ID and the name. We're going to use the name as the title, and we're going to use the ID to fetch for the various albums. So to begin, I'll import inside here the artist albums page. By default, the nav controller was already injected in the constructor, so we can just use it now to navigate to the page. So back in the search albums method, I'll just go ahead and type this .nav controller.push to navigate. And then here we pass the component we want to navigate to, as well as the nav parameters. So I'll call it ID. This will be the ID and the name, which will be this name, this one here. Also, not to forget, I'll add a semicolon here. Next, in the artist albums.ts file, I'll start by creating two fields. One will be the ID of type string, and the other one will be the name of type string as well. And we can use these nav params to capture the parameters we just sent from the home.ts file. So this.id should be equal to this.navparams.get, and in this case we are getting the ID. And I'll also do this.name should be equal to this.navparams.get name. I'm going to display this name in the title. So I'll open up the artist album.html file and display here the name. This should be name. And I'll just type here albums. Then I'll create a method here called getAlbums that will use this ID to fetch all the albums that belongs to a particular artist. So getAlbums. I'll call this method here. And I'll create an array of type any to hold all the albums that will be returned from Spotify. So private albums. This will be an array of type any. And we also need inside here the provider class. So I'll just copy this from the home.ts file. This one. And once more, to use it, we need to inject it in the constructor. So private provider of type Spotify provider. So in this method, I'll call the search albums method from the provider class. This one. And passing the ID. Then, just as we did before, I'll subscribe to this method. And if everything goes on correctly, we get back some data. If not, we'll get an error. So I'll log this error to the console. And to this array of albums, I'll assign the data that is returned from Spotify. So once more, everything is fine here. I'm going to loop through this array of albums and display whatsoever I want to display. So it will be similar to this here. I'll just go ahead and copy this div. And in the artist album.html file, I'll paste it here. This should then be albums. And this should also be albums. I'll call it A. We want to display the name of that album. For each album, I would like to display an image in a thumbnail. So here I'll add Ion thumbnail. This should be item start. And we only want to display the image if the array of images is not empty. So again, I'll copy this condition here and paste it here. So this should be a dot images. This a here. And inside here I'll add an image tag. And the source should be a dot images, we want to display just one. So I'll take the first one, .url. Next, I'll add here a span. And display inside here the type of album. So I'll just type here type. This should be a dot type. Then I'll get rid of this. And for the time being, I'll get rid of this click event. And add here details. Also in Ionic, when you use item start here, it's a good idea to use clear and item end. Back in the browser, let's test this out. So if I search for Soweto Gospel Choir and click on albums, you see we get the following albums from Soweto Gospel Choir. So in the next video, we're going to implement this details functionality so that when a user clicks on these details, they should be able to see the details of an album. Until then, see you.